Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming today and for this just wonderful moment for our actual Father's Day panel on Father's Day. So glad that y'all here. And the theme for today is going to be Fathers Believing Bigger. I'll go down the line and you guys can say your name and how long you've been here at Church on Purpose, and then also what's your favorite thing to do with your kids.
My name is Kente Hearn. I've been coming here since December, and honestly, I would just say the spending time with them is probably the best thing. Just said something we don't get back, which is time. So, spending time with them.
My name is Maurice DeBro. Been here 2 years, I think. Yeah, 2 years. And with my son, favorite thing, we like to fight. We like to wrestle and horseplay around.
My name is Robert Griffin. I've been at Church on Purpose for 2 years, and my favorite thing to do with my 22-year-old daughter actually is to listen to her, to engage in a 22-year-old's conversation and what her interests are. Pulls a lot from me, but I wouldn't take anything for it.
And the things I like to do with my children are, first of all, I like to, we play board games a lot. So it makes for conversation a lot. And the other thing I do with my kids is I run them around everywhere.
Appreciate it. So the reason why we're having this conversation today is not only to recognize, the engaged and active fathers, but that are part of our church family, but to demonstrate how necessary fathers are in God's plan. The Bible gives us so many examples of fathers who are the models of believing God for bigger and better and more. This conversation today is an opportunity for us to take that information and make it modern and new by combining it with our own testimonies, and that's what you're going to hear today from these gentlemen up here, their testimonies. So this question will be for everybody. Take us back to when you were a kid and how your dad impacted your life.
Okay, so for me, my father was always constant. He was always there. His biggest impact was just showing me things, not so much telling me. So a lot of things that I just learned by being around him, by riding with him, even when I didn't want to ride with him. I was the one that was holding a flashlight as he was explaining, what he was doing, and just knowing how to keep my cool. When my father got saved, right off the streets, just totally unchurched. But one of the things that I learned from my father was when he got saved, he stopped yelling. And so my sister asked him one day, "Dad, why don't you yell at us anymore?" And he said, "Do you understand what I'm saying when I'm talking to you in this tone?" And we said, "Yeah." He said, "Then I have no reason to yell at you." And so from that point, I stopped yelling. And so I've never really yelled at my children. They just understand it. When I say something, I mean it. So this is one of the things that I remember growing up with them.
For as my father wasn't in my life for the first 50 years of my life. Um, I reconnected with my father when I was 60 years old. Um, Up until that time, I might have seen my father about 4 times, maybe 5 times. Um, Today, I have no animosity toward my father whatsoever. I He's in a state right now where he's like in his late 80s. He's he's on oxygen, and I communicate with him, and I tell him how much I miss him. I tell him how much I wish him health, wish him that I want him to have a relationship with God. I don't talk to him a lot about God, but I want him to have a relationship with God. So for the last, I'm 65, so for the last 5 years, me and my father has developed a relationship.
Amen. Amen. Clap that up. Clap that up.
And to me, it is, I know growing up that God had me, and I think the only time I ever really thought about the fact that I didn't have a father in my life was when I was like 12 years old. And I used to think about why didn't I have a father in my life. But then again, I had my grandfather. I had all my uncles. I had all my great uncles. I had my brothers. I had all these men in my life that showed me how to be a man. So that made me have no animosity toward my father, because there was a lot of people in my life that showed me how to be a man. So
My dad, what he's shown me is how to be a strong individual, especially through diversity. Um, my dad is my dad been sober for over 25 years now.
Man, amen.
And,
Amen.
you know, through life, with life happening, you know, with me losing my brother back in 2006, me losing my mom, and just, you know, death in general, my dad could have easily relapsed, but he didn't, you know, and to just show up and still be present, you know, that speaks volumes, you know. So I give my dad kudos, you know, because, you know, life comes with different blows and stuff like that, and it's easy to fall back on old habits and stuff like that. So words can't even speak the volume and respect that I have for my dad, you know. So when I even go through my little moments and stuff like that, like, gotta still remain strong, still gotta show up, still gotta be present in the moment and stuff like that, not get caught up in my feelings and stuff like that. And just understanding my dad's story, you know, at first, you know, growing up, I used to be like, man, my dad mean, da 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 da, you know, but my mom used to always say, you know, and my brothers, you know, daddy had a past, you know, his upbringing and stuff like that, the challenges that he had to face, you know. So, you know, we got to give, you know, Pops grace. You know, at that time, you know, as a kid, you don't understand a lot of stuff. But as, you know, being older and being at the age that I am now, I get it, you know. I understand, you know. So there's no hatred or anything like that towards my dad. But, you know, sometimes just, you know, being a child and then being a parent, you know, you don't know the whole story. You don't know the whole background. You don't know how they was brought up as a kid why they are the way they are today, you know. So it's no judgment, and it's just, you know, he did what he knew was best for us, and, you know, for his children and for his wife and stuff like that. So I just give it to him. You know, the moment that my mom was fed up, was about to leave us all, my dad made that change, and he ain't never looked back.
Amen.
I would say growing up, I had my grandpa, my uncles, my cousins, like you were saying, and so, but until I moved back, I would say until I moved back here, and of course, being the oldest on my mother's side, I felt the pressure of trying to play a father role, you know, and I think it was then I felt like, where's my father, you know, in the sense of And so I told this earlier, but I didn't get to know my father biologically until I was in a coma at 32 years old, and tried to develop a relationship with him. I also have on my dad's side 5 brothers and I'm sorry, 5 sisters and 1 brother, and also got to know them at that time. So we have a relationship, and my father passed away 3 years ago. I was angry in the sense of wanting to never really had the questions answered, or never had that void really filled in the sense of wanting to represent what a father should be, or what a man should represent. So it took actually probably 2 years ago for me to finally let that anger go, you know.
Amen, amen. Yeah. Just to chime in as well, I have that same experience as Kente and Deacon Gerald with not growing up with my father as well. So I ended up meeting my father at 31 on Omaha Day Parade. I got wind from a pretty much, he's like family, but he's like a friend of the family, and I didn't know how I was gonna feel actually when I saw him. I was like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna feel. Am I gonna feel angry or happy, you know? But when I saw him, I just embraced him. That was my like natural body reaction. So I think for me, like the next follow-up question, can y'all talk about the difference when you do have a father in your life and when you don't have a father?
I guess in the aspect of, I guess it's kind of different because biologically, yeah, I had a father, but he wasn't there, like physically. So I guess in that aspect, it's different for me because I wanted the love that my brothers and sisters got from him. And I felt kind of like outcasted, you know. And so I guess it affected me a little different, you know, whereas on one side, I'm the oldest and I have to play a role. And on the other side, it's like I wanted to feel that affection. So it was kind of a different thing for me, you know.
My father was in the home, but I rejected him when he got saved because I'm 11 or 12, and we went from watching football on Sundays to now I got to go to church. And so, like, he's on fire, and I've never seen anything like that. And so having him in the home, but we're at odds because I don't want to come in and have home Bible study, and I don't want to be at church every Sunday and before church and after church. And I didn't want to have to deal with the depression that I'm now dealing with because you're making me go to church. You're making me fellowship with these people that I don't know, and you're making me stand up through these long songs, and you're making me raise my hands. And so in rejecting him, I ended up rejecting God as well because I just didn't want any part of this introduction to God. And my mother went to church, but my mother went to church out of habit. She didn't really, you know, it wasn't like, we're going to change this household. He flipped everything. And so even though he was in the house and I grew up with him, that first couple of years, I just rejected him. And I'm thankful that he stood fast and he never wavered, and he stopped drinking, he stopped smoking, he stopped cussing, he stopped going out. It was just a 180 change that I just couldn't wrap my mind around. But I'm thankful that he stood the course and he didn't waver. So I never wanted to paint anything like everything was peachy cream and everything like that. He felt the rejection within his own household for doing the right thing, and he felt his family, his household pulling away from him. But he maintained that, and I'm thankful for that because even with me now, I'm pretty steadfast. I pretty much, when I got my mind made up, that's what it is. So I'm appreciative that he didn't backslide because he had every opportunity to do it, being rejected by the very people inside his household.
Yeah. Growing up without a father, especially in the neighborhood that I grew up in, this was back in the 70s, early 70s, mid 70s, when I was like anywhere from 10 to 15 years old. In my neighborhood, about 80%, and this is all black neighborhood, about 80% of the people in my neighborhood had fathers. So this was in the 70s, okay? Okay, so the thing is, a lot of the friends in my neighborhood who had fathers was like some of the, I guess they didn't have fathers that were in their lives the way they needed to be in their lives, because a lot of them wound up in prison, a lot of them wound up on drugs. A lot of them was doing everything but what they supposed to be doing. And they didn't like coming around my house, and I had to put a plug out to my mom for this, because all my friends that would come to my house, my mom would have prayer at certain times of the year, certain times of the day. And if you was at our house this certain time of the day, you had to come to prayer with us. It was just, you had no other choice, you had to. So I realized that to be a father, you have to be involved in your children's lives. Just because you're in the home, that's not enough. You have to be involved in your children's lives.
For me, yeah, my dad, my parents was married and stuff like that, but my father figure was my brother that was killed back in 2006. He did everything with me, as far as from working out, getting me up to go run some miles and stuff like that, taking me for rides, going to the movies, just doing all those things, and just always this conversation. My dad was just more like discipline, which, I'm thankful for that. It kept me on the straight and narrow when I veered off. And like, my dad was just more like responsibility and stuff like that. Like just, just have things in order and stuff like. So like my dad envies me, just because like I'm the baby and I'm spoiled, and, the things and how I moved and stuff like that. We have a more closer relationship now that, I'm older and I have more understanding. But, as I was coming up, only thing my dad would do was just go to work, go sleep, things I can only remember is going to the zoo and going skating one time. Besides that, my dad just, did what he wanted to do. And that's when he was like drinking and all that. But, he did make that change and stuff like that. And I just, what was important to me wasn't always as important, as far as like sports and stuff like that. I get it now. He had to work, which provided the home and everything else. So I just knew, like, as far as for me coming up when I had my kid or child and stuff, that I'm not gonna make work of this issue. As far as, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be present. It wasn't going to like ask how the game was. I'm gonna be there at the game to see what's going on. So like my dream is how they used to say it was like, well, if you're that good, then they'll see you, you know. Whereas it's just the support is just like it's gonna be like a no hands down, I'm there, period. You know, like that's what I got from my brother. He was my support system. You know, he was my everything. So like when I lost my brother, you know, I lost me. You know, I really have that connection besides me and my mom and my oldest brother. But like as far as me and my dad, it was just that's my dad. I love him, but as far as that connection, it wasn't really there. But you know, that's one thing that my mom always prayed for is just for us boys to get closer. You know, especially for me to get closer to my dad, just to understand my dad more and how he would, why he the way he is from his upbringing and stuff like that. And so with me understanding that now, you know, I just can't like hold that against him, you know. And I just, you know, try my best to, you know, embrace my dad, you know, and love him, you know, just say I know that I love him and stuff like that. But my brother was the one that just we just rocked together. And so when I lost him, it was just different. So it was like my dad was in the house, but my father figure was my brother.
So, tell me a time. This question is for everybody. When you felt like you've failed or maybe missed the mark as a father, and and then how did you actually, you know, repair that situation and incorporated God?
I felt like I failed when, you know, the relationship didn't work with me and my son, mom, and I wasn't in the house. I wasn't present. You know, like, you know, not be able to wake up and just go check in the room and stuff like that. Like, you know, just moments like that. Like, whereas, you know, I want to be there 24/7. You know, and I had to learn to, you know, you still can be a father without being in the house. You know, you still can do everything that you need to do without, you know, being involved with the mother and stuff like that. And, you know, just learn how to, you know, co-parent and stuff like that. Like, and still you can still love a child without, you know, without the parents being together. And y'all still can work together. You know, I mean, that used to be a challenge of mine. It's like I felt like I failed because I wasn't in the house. I wasn't 24/7. I didn't have my stuff together. Whereas, you know, I had to remove the selfishness for myself and understand it's not about me, but it's about being there and being present for my son through everything, you know, and showing up and not taking that selfish road because we're not together. I don't want to be present. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And I just always said that that's not going to be me, you know, especially just from like coaching and seeing all the moms that's doing everything for his boys to be there, you know, supporting them to be there, the sports, the practices, and not seeing no dads, you know, that's not going to be me. I'm going to still do everything that I need to do, and so you don't have to feel all that weight, you know, especially as a woman, when you don't ask for the child and it happens, you know. So now it's like, you know, it's on me to be present, period. No explanation, no excuses.
So one of my struggles, where I failed or felt like I failed, was because Mom and I didn't work out. I'm struggling, and y'all, when I say struggling, I mean I've got three fights. I've got my rent, my car payment, and I've got the lawyers. I'm missing work because I'm going to court all the time, and then they'll file a continuance. Well, I still got to pay the attorney. And I'm struggling and I'm failing because if I pay the attorneys and my car note, I'm going to lose my place. if I pay my car note and my place, I'm going to lose my girls. And so every month I was struggling and trying to fight and just trying to maintain because I had 50% custody. I didn't get the every other weekend and Wednesday. I had 50% custody because I was an involved father. But I failed because I just couldn't show up in the way that I needed to because it was a constant struggle with trying to navigate this space and not being able to explain to them and just not having relief and internet not being out and not having a support group. So I missed a lot of opportunities. Even though I was there physically, mentally I was checked out because I was always fighting something to maintain. So that was really where I feel like I failed as a father in that period of time for in that relationship.
I would have to, in some aspects, agree with that. When it came to my sons, there's some women out there that try to give good fathers a bad name, and in this aspect of, being in a relationship with women, sometimes it's just oh, you don't want to be with me, so you can't see your child type thing. And so I would do a lot of traveling or to try to be with my kids, to be around my kids. And of course, what comes with that is you trying to find a job, like place to stay. Well, why aren't you watching your kid? Well, I gotta work. I gotta do this to. You want me to pay this? So it was a lot of, in that aspect, fighting, with the mother to either provide child support. But I did smarten up and put myself on child support, so I didn't have to necessarily deal with that aspect. But also, I feel like in a sense of where we sometimes as men fail is, I know I felt like I failed when it came to my son getting into some trouble. And you try to tell your kids and guide them in the right direction. Don't do this, don't do that. Hey, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And like I said, as a parent, you could tell your kids to do something, but you know how you was when you was also growing up. You tell parents you to do something, well, I'm gonna do the opposite. And so, in that aspect, sometimes because my son did eventually get into some legal trouble, and so I felt like as a father, in that aspect, that I felt because he didn't listen, but of course, kids naturally are going to do what they want to do. So, but as a parent, it makes you feel like, well, what more could I have done? Or, it makes you feel like you didn't do enough,
Where I feel that I really failed as a father is the fact that my own insecurities. I didn't do what I needed to do for as my children was concerned is put them in a place where they felt that they can achieve everything in this world that they wanted to achieve. I think that I hindered them a little bit by my own insecurities. I can say that none of my children that I know of have ever been in any serious trouble. But the fact is that they are some very intelligent, bright children, but they are not maximizing their potential. And I think that's because of me. And that bothers me a lot, you know. So I always felt that I don't want to be a hindrance to my children, but I think in my mind, I think that I was because I didn't encourage them to maximize their potential. Uh, so I don't know if it was because of my own past. I think it was because of my own past, but to this day, my youngest children, my three youngest are like 19 and 21. The rest of them are out the house grown, have children of their own. I don't encourage my three youngest to get out the house because I'm still trying to put stuff into them that they need to have into them. And I've told them that I don't want them to leave until they are secure within themselves to navigate this world in a way that is beneficial to them.
Amen.
Yeah.
So my final question is, what kind of legacy are you building right now for your family?
Really, I'm just trying to. That's a good question, honestly. I guess I would say when I was younger, I didn't even think nothing of that, But as I get older now, of course, naturally you think about it's bigger than you. You want to leave something behind, especially if you happen to pass away. You don't want to feel like you left your family a burden or anything like that. So my goal is to, of course, with my lady here, with the business and everything, I wanted to have them take over, get a brick and mortar and everything like that, and eventually they run it themselves, and so they can build generational wealth, and that is the goal. We put in the hard work, so eventually when everything does take place, all they have to do is just kind of take it over, So I guess essentially it's just trying to build that legacy of continuing to continue to finish what we started. I guess.
Amen. Amen.
As far as for me, what I tell son, the legacy is, you look in your classroom, you always be a leader. One day, if you look around, you're either going to be a worker or you're going to be a boss. So always put your best foot forward. I got this motto, Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you last. So always, give it your best effort. Even if you fail, you're still learning. So don't look at it as, you messed up, what I'm saying? Just look, it's part of the learning curve. And always just, apply yourself in anything you do. So, we're big on sports. Hey, you got to hustle. You got to do things when nobody's looking, excel in the classroom, so therefore you can get you a full ride scholarship to any school you want to and not just relying on sports. You're a student athlete first. So, your grades first. If you ain't doing your grades right, then you ain't going to be able to play that sport. And just always just, always say, treat others how you want to be treated. So with that, and just go out there and go get it. Have fun doing it. Be your own guy. I always say, follow people you can learn from. Don't be a follower. Have people want to follow you. So I just continue to pour into him and watch him excel, and for him to become his own man. Be who you want to be. If you don't, I'm not one of those dads that live through their son or live through their child to make their dreams come true. No, go create it. Go out there and be whatever you want to be and be the best at it. And so I just have fun watching him, you know, create his legacy, you know, becoming his own individual. Like right now, he like, Dad, can you post my shirts? You know, he got him a vendor, so he's selling things now. You know, he got him a little hustle, or like him and his friend go get together and sell candy. You know, so got the entrepreneur bug. You know, so you know, not just relying on sports, but you know, whatever it is, just go out there and give it your best. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay.
My legacy is tied to, I have a soft spot for
Yeah, and keep God first with everything.
my soft spot is fathers and daughters. It's just been my soft spot because of. And so when I was in St. Louis and when I was in Georgia, I would create events that promoted healthy father-daughter relationships. Basic auto maintenance, baking cookies, doing hair, just anything that would connect fathers and daughters. And so my legacy would be tied to just building relationships with fathers and daughters, just finding something to do together. I don't care if it's fishing, if you're learning how to swim together, just making sure that it's important, because there's so many ladies that either didn't grow up with their fathers or they remember something like, oh, me and my dad used to do so-and-so. I just think it's important to bond in that way because it helps so much balance you out. It helps so much with making decisions where you can see both sides of the coin. So as far as my girls go, I want them to know that Dad was actively involved in the community and actively involved with bringing families together in that aspect.
Amen.
I can't really say that I have been building legacy, but what I have tried to do with my kids is to inform them that, and I've had this conversation with them lately a few times, that I'm trying to encourage them to let them know that God has a plan for your life. And I keep telling them, if you would not think about what you want to do, I'm not saying don't do what you want to do, but if you want to do this thing, make sure you go to God first. Because if this thing is something you want to do, and if you want God to bless it, then you need to go to God first, and you need to wait on Him. Not saying that you need to not go ahead and start preparing, because you need to go ahead and start preparing, but you need to get your cues from God and not from me or not from Mom or not from anybody else, but get your cues from God, because if this is something God is putting in you, then your legacy is going to be tied to what God has got you to do for Him in this world. I have a lot of my younger children are talented in ways that are unique to them. And I keep trying to remind them and tell them that your gifts are something God gave you, but you have to go to God to understand what God wants you to do with this gift and how this gift is going to not only influence your life, but influence others' lives, and how this gift is going to not only bring wealth to you, but bring it to those around you. So this is what I continuously try to put into them. I guess that's it.
All right, fellas, any closing thoughts as we conclude the father panel?
It's always room for growth. You know, it's a never-ending story of just want to be a better man, or you know, just have the right influences and stuff like that. There's no blueprint. You just got to have the will to just want to be better than what you are, and you know, get better each day. So then you can help the next person, or to help the next new father. You know, because you don't know, and learn to just break old habits, so you can transition into the man you want to become. Just from leaving the childish ways and to growing up to just grow up and be the man that you need to be.
If I can just say real quick, man, forgive that man. I don't know what he did, but just forgive that man. If it's your father, your grandfather, your uncle, whatever, I would just encourage you to forgive them, release them for either being ignorant and not knowing what they were supposed to do, or being ignorant knowing what they were doing was wrong, because it's going to hold us in a spot if we harbor that unforgiveness. So I'm just saying I would encourage us to release that man. And then secondly, I would encourage any man here who has good intentions, speak life into our young people. Don't not talk to them, don't not engage them, and then wonder what's going on with them or what's wrong with them or why these kids are out here. I would just encourage us to speak life into our young people.
You have anything, Deacon Gerald? It looked like you was about to say something.
I would just say that our lives are short, and we don't have a lot of time to focus on the negative things in our lives. So just like Robert said, forgive, and also forgive yourselves. And focus on where you're at right now and what God knows where you're at right now, and focus on what God wants you to do from this point on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll conclude our Fathers panel. Give it up. Clap it up, clap it up. Thank y'all.